So back to this idea that first, the question is whether or not we measure markers of mental health. And the first thing is in the Healthy Brains, Healthy Bodies class, we openly talk about the fact that we're all a little bit sad, anxious, inattentive, naughty, and quirky, so that we have open dialogues about this stuff. And in the research part, there's a beginning of the school year, the middle of the school year, end of the school year, where there's a full battery of emotional behavioral questions, which include the youth or young adult self-report, the adult self-report, which is, in my mind, the best measure of quantitative risk for emotional behavioral health. But then there's a whole variety of other measures that we get at 3 times a year. The SBIRT, the audit, questions of high-risk alcohol and drug behavior, the Big 5 personality inventory included, the brief problem monitor. There's something called the SF-36, which is an economic measure of general medical health. And then with the heart rate variability from the watch, we can measure steps, caloric output, general activity, and correlate movement, meditation to emotional behavioral health at the beginning, end of the year. Most people would know, and I was talking to a research team about this the other day, that physician scientists like to say they reduce or cure any kind of illness behavior. Well, if you're aware that the college effect is a kid comes to school and their risk behaviors go up, not down. A noble thing for a lot of universities would say, let's diminish the college effect. Let's not necessarily say we make them better, but we keep them from a further demise. Well, our goal is actually to try to reduce some of this suffering by making it clear that we all suffer. And in our class, we teach the regions of the brain where anxiety lives, where aggression lives, where inattention lives, and then we show them things that they can do to change the structure of that brain. So if you've read our papers on music and how it impacts the brain, you won't be surprised to know we have 120 freshmen taking violin lessons in the wellness environment. They're horrible musicians. The sound is extremely
But it's my favorite program.
It's a great program, but they get it. This is the beautiful part, is they're doing this for their brain. Now understand the buy-in. If they're not walking 45 minutes a day and they're saying, I'm building my hippocampus, you can sell stuff with neuroscience, because the brain is this just beautiful frontier. And the things that come out of the brain are mental health. So we are hoping to create a dialogue that all health comes from mental health.
And all of those things add up to better mental health.
And better lives.
Which I know for my colleagues across the country, I think that's probably one of the number one concerns and questions we have right now is we're seeing more and more students coming to campus with mental health concerns and issues. And so how does all of that play into better emotional health?
And one of the great things is we tell our students, we show this issue of cortical organization from age 18 to 25, and we say to them, no matter how much despair you feel right now, don't make the mistake of thinking your brain's done. You can change your brain. You can build a healthy brain. So it's very stressful to be 16, 17, 18 now. These kids have ancient brains and live in this modern pressure-filled world. Colleges should be a place where that kid could go and effervesce. And that's kind of our hope.
And really see themselves progress and feel better and feel good about why they're here and why they're in school at this point in their lives. Couple more questions coming in, Jim. How does the collaboration function between the College of Med, Res Life, staff delivering the program on the ground? And then maybe what are some of the challenges? So I mean, the College of Medicine really is, you and your colleagues and the coursework, offering the science behind the program, what that looks like, the research behind the program. Residential Life has staff. They staff. They hire all the RAs. They train up the RAs.
Then let us train them up.
You then train up the RAs, and then the program staff really are the RAs and the rest of the program coordinators on the ground. But I know you really. Not only they kind of get the basics of being an RA, the basics of being program coordinators, and then you train them about the model and about the programming efforts of what really needs to happen in the residence hall, in and around the classroom, in and around what they're learning in other parts of the program.
And myself, but also include a number of the physician and physician scientists from my center, But then I have this just transcendent coworker, Dr. Jeff Ritu, who's also in the mix and very granular about this. So faculty engagement is key. The ability to work across these environments in the first 2 years, hey, it was a little bit rugged. It was like, who is this big child psychiatrist coming into our space? Now we have these beautiful relations with our residential life team, with our RET team, including the fact that all of our RAs now previously lived in the wellness environment, and some incredible young men, women, and people on different journeys lead us by behavior and by actions, and it's just great. And I think there was a question, by the way, about what happens when someone violates the code, and by that we have every young person signs a contract with me, looks me in the eye, shakes my hand. It's delivered in front of the parents,
Right.
so parents sit there, and Dr. Ritu also does some of this contract work. And the contract basically says you'll get all of these incentives provided along the issue of building healthy brains. We're very clear about this, but there's a couple things you have to do. You have to take the class. It's a non-negotiable. Again, it's the cement or mortar for the program. And two, you can't have drugs or alcohol or paraphernalia associated with drugs or alcohol, or you'll be removed from the environment. And we give examples of what all those things are. And there's also a codicil that it's not okay to disrupt the environment. And there I activate that by, I want our environment, and it is, I want our environment to be a safe and wonderful place for people who identify as Alana or LGBTQQ+. And that's it. That's the contract. So each year we remove around 2% of people who violate the contract, which they simply come in a room with Dr. Ritu or myself. We ask them if they violate the code. They uniformly say, yes, I did. They're removed from the environment, moved to another residence hall, but they keep their fitness passes, they keep their watch, they keep access to yoga and mindfulness and everything, and they're invited back the next year. There's no terminal punishment. So we actually use those, we call them we moments, to offer help to people who couldn't maintain the contract. Now, there is the instance, and all of us make mistakes. Young people make mistakes. My goodness, I've made so many mistakes, I've stopped trying to count. But if you went out and made a big mistake and you came back compromised, just ask for help. And so we have a medical amnesty program. You just ask for help. That would then lead to a we moment where we would work very hard to develop a wellness journey for a young person who said, I want to live in this environment, and goes out and gets in a position where they really aren't safe. So think about the beauty of that someone who goes out and gets unsafe, they're offered help. I'm sure they also are offered conduct issues through your office. But we go that extra step. We work with this great counseling and psychiatry service here. We do brief referrals and brief interventions, but we're there with them. So that's how we deal with it. We use our basics programming here. Dr. Ritu actually developed the ESPER programs here before he migrated to our program. And then we engage in wellness journeys. And the student chooses which wellness journey he, she, or they wants to go on.
Which is the perfect model of faculty engagement outside the classroom. So here is the residential life staff, and they'll follow the same policies and protocols set out in our Code of Student Rights and Responsibilities, and yet you also then partner with them and conduct these we moments with students. So students are held accountable, and yet they also know that they have a lot of support for changing their behavior still, and not just automatically kicked out of the environment.
And I would like to say, we have instances where a violation occurred and a young person comes back and becomes an RA and a leader in the environment. The reason we do this work in the end is if we can impact positively on 1,200 young people, change the habits that they'll leave the university with, in addition to academic rigor and a great future. If they take partners, we've impacted 1,200 of their lives, and if they have children, we've impacted another 4,000 people. These young people buoy us, and this experience is fantastic. So the point of this whole time for Annie and I is to say, if you're deeply interested in this, you reach out to our team, let us know the level of interest, and we'll talk to you about this educational institute that we're trying to build the first year for just a few programs, because we want to make sure we get it right. And then subsequently see if we can build really a consortium of wellness universities.
Right. It is really the not only groundbreaking, but for me personally and professionally, what I feel like all universities should be doing in terms of really changing cultures on college campuses that lead to better success for our students. The healthier they are, the more engaged they will be, and then the more successful they become. And if you don't have that foundation, as we know, about helping them understand their own brains, their own health, how to better manage all of that while in college and build those skills, then they are going to struggle. And this is an amazing program that really helps them understand all of that as they come into college. So we hope you really learned a lot from Dr. Hoodshak and myself in terms of student affairs and how we work together here at UVM around the wellness environment. And please, if you want to learn more about this, we want other colleges to get engaged, set up your own programs. We're here to help you do that. And just reach out back to us via the online system that we have, and we'll be sure to get connected. Thanks so much. All right. Bye.